Hey, how's it going? This is Josh Chudnovsky from Drowning Monkeys Games, and this is a developer preview of Dungeon Crawlers HD, which comes out June 1st on Steam. And what I wanted to do here was just go really quickly over some of the basics of playing this game, and then dive a little deeper into the strategy and the tactics of what this game is all about. And so just real quick, this is, the idea of Dungeon Crawlers HD, first of all, as a story, is Ghostbusters in a dungeon. And you'll see in these characters that they resemble their Ghostbusters counterparts. You've got Peter, who looks like Peter, Egon, who looks like Egon, Roy, who looks like Ray, and of course, Faustin, who looks like Winston. Each of these characters follows a role-playing trope. So, for example, Peter is a tank. You want to get him in on the action. Egon is a wizard. Roy is a healer or a cleric, and Faustin's a dwarf. He's really the jack of all trades in terms of a role or a job. He has a ranged attack. He has a AOE attack. He can disarm traps. So he's very versatile. The other characters are very one-dimensional in sort of their tactical thinking. When you're playing the game, you've got walls that define the rooms, and those walls will get out of your way. The math behind that is just the bottom half of the screen. So you see as I move up, the walls that are at the bottom half of the screen disappear. So that's to help you get a better tactical view. You can also hit C or Z to rotate the camera 45 degrees. But otherwise you've got a nice little tactical view. I like to get in close on the action so you can really see these characters. And also you've got 4 levels of zoom, which is similar to how the game XCOM, the latest XCOM, really works with its camera view, okay? So just real quick, here's the character's attacks. For example, Peter has a slash, which is just a 1 versus 1 melee, a 3 versus 1 melee cleave, which attacks the 3 squares in front of him. Taunt will make a character attack him, which is great if an enemy is attacking one of your weaker characters. You've got War Stomp, which is a point-blank AoE. The 4 squares directly around Peter. He'll jump into the air and possibly stun. And this is Charge, and Charge will go several squares to stun a character. You've got Egon, who's got wizard-like attacks. He's got a magic missile. He's got a shockwave, which does a knockback and is a point-blank AoE. Fireball, which can ignite characters, several characters, and is a ranged attack. You've got Cone of Cold, which is a 3x3 spell that also freezes characters, and then he can shield himself. And with the cleric Roy, you've got Pray for Healing, Pray for Damage, Pray for Recovery, which is curing from the status effects. You've got a Pray for Protection, which you can shield yourself or others. Unlike Egon's shield, he can only shield himself. And a Mass Healing spell, which he has not unlocked yet. And finally, we've got Faustin, who has a Chop, the 1v1 melee. He's got Disarm Traps. He's the only character in the game who can see traps and disarm them. So that's important in certain levels where you need to take a look at the landscape before you move your characters. These icons are backwards, but this is supposed to be Whirlwind, but that's described here. That's a point-blank AoE. This is supposed to be Burning Ale, which is this icon. And that's his ranged attack. And then finally Drink Ale, that's this icon. That's to heal himself. So you see he's got several styles of attack. He's got a ranged attack, which ignites. He's got point-blank AoE, which attacks several characters but does no status. He can heal himself, he can disarm a trap, or he can just fight straight up. And by the way, all characters have a defend. So let's get into the enemies real quick. One of the hallmarks of this specific map, this is a challenge map, so we split up the party here, 2 groups of 2. And so that's really going to come into your thinking about how do you want to attack with your ranged characters as the level plays out. So let's take a look at the enemies. You've got simple melee style or range style enemies like the Goblin or the Skeleton Archer. He just simply fires arrows, and the Goblin simply slashes with his daggers. But then you've got a little bit more complex characters like the Blungy. He's a level 2 style complexity. He is a ranged character who fires blue slime. If his blue slime has like a 10 to 20% chance of hitting you with a status effect, which is freeze. If he hits you with that, your characters move fewer tiles per turn. You've got the Goblin Mage and the Goblin Wizard. They both say Mage, but that'll be fixed. The Mage can shoot fireballs. The Wizard shoots electricity. got the Mummy, who is very high strength, so he attacks for a lot of damage, but he also poisons. And poisons do a lot of damage. You've got the Death Knight, who is very strong. He's got a strength of 16, so let's take a look at some of these characters. You see Ogre has 20, 16 is very high up there. And he's very high on the defense, unlike the Mummy who's at 18, he's at 26. But he has fewer hit points. The Death Knight is a straight up melee character who can knock back your characters. He can knock back, I think, 4 to 6 squares. And then in this map, we'll talk about why she's so dangerous right now, but we've got the Fat Banshee. And the Fat Banshee, what she does is fires a 3x3 scream, the 3 squares by 3, so these 9 squares directly in front of her. She can scream, and that can stun the characters, and that can be really deadly in a firefight like this, where there's just so many characters to attack you. So if you can't attack back, that can be really deadly. Now let's talk about, real quickly, tactical thinking in dungeon crawlers. So you've got enemies, when it's their turn, they range between attacking the closest enemy, the strongest enemy, and sometimes the weakest enemy. And that's where you really want to be using Peter and Winston in your overall tactics, is to get them in on the fight so that they're attracting all the enemies to fight them. You don't want to bring Roy or Egon into the fight, because if you do, they'll get attacked and they're going to die. They have very little defense. You can see Peter has 31 defense, but Egon and Roy have 17. And let's just, there we go. Faelston has 27, which is less than Peter, but still very high up there. He's also got similar hit points. This game is all about encounters. What we wanted to do is we want to put the characters into, and this is a Final Fantasy Tactics style of thinking, right? Is that we wanted to give you these big fights where you really have to think about, first of all, your strategy, which is where am I going to place my characters? What's my overall thinking about how do I want to lure these characters out and kill them one at a time? But then also the tactics of it, which is which attack am I going to use to make the most effective use of my characters? And so, like in this case, we've got Peter here. We want to definitely get these 5 guys attacking Peter and not Egon. So we're going to bring him into the fight as close as possible. And his most damaging attack is the War Stomp. We can attack up to 4 characters around him. So we've got this square that can do 2 characters, and this square that can do 2 characters, and also attack the most dangerous, most powerful character in the game here, this Ogre. By the way, we didn't talk about the Ogre. The Ogre can attack up to 1 square away because he's so big. And he hits you with his club and knocks you right out. And he's very strong. He's got a strength of 20, which is probably the most of anybody in this. This Goblin's very strong. He's got a strength of 20. That's interesting. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to, for point blank AoEs, for any other attack, you click on your enemy. But for point blank AoEs, you want to click on yourself to make it happen. If you were curious about how much damage it can do, you see here 80% chance of hit, 10 to 35 points of damage, 60% chance of stunning. So he can do almost he can kill this mage in 2 attacks potentially with this War Stomp. So let's do that. We missed the Goblin, the Ogre, but we got the Goblin Mage. So that's pretty good. We hit him for a lot of damage, and we stunned him. If you miss an attack, you have no chance of stunning. So you've got to hit him for something to also achieve a stun. So that was going to come into play with how do we want to proceed. It's very important to think about when it's your turn, is the order in which you want to move your characters. For example, if I move Faelston up here and then decide I want to shield him with Pray for Protection, that also means I'm going to bring Roy into the fight and really expose Roy to some major damage. So really what we want to do is protect him first. So we've shielded Faelston. And we're going to come up here and let's use his Whirlwind because he's got it. And let's take a look at how can we get the most out of it. It attacks up to 2 squares away. You can see these lighter tiles are where he can hit. So he can hit these 2 characters. If we move him here, we can hit these 3 characters. If we move him here, he'll still only attack. He can attack these 3 characters right here. And those are the most dangerous characters. That Goblin is not that dangerous. He's pretty easy to take out. He has low defense. There we go. We did pretty good damage. 24 points. Almost half. Almost 50% on the Goblin Mage. 48% really. And 17 points on the Mummy. We're starting to get him out down there. And six points, looks like, on the Death Knight. So now we got to think about what do we want to do with Egon, right? Because he's got this Fireball, which is just like the Whirlwind, but it's a ranged attack, and it can do a lot of damage. Here we're hitting 4 characters. We could hit here and hit 5 characters, including this Banshee. So yeah, we were talking about the Banshee. What makes the Banshee so dangerous right now is not only that she's stunned, but she's guarded. You couldn't hit her unless you hit her with a ranged attack. And the longer she's out there stunning characters, the worse it is for you. So she's really a target of interest in this case. So we risk with Egon bringing him in here, but we're also hitting 5 characters with this attack. So I say we go for it. And we did very little damage. This is one of the hallmarks of the Fireball, is it doesn't do a heck of a lot of damage most times. But we ignited a lot of characters, and some characters with low defense. You should see the Mage take a lot of defense, or a lot of damage on that Ignite, and I think the Mummy also will take some considerable damage on that. So that's it, that's everybody. You hit spacebar to end your turn, or click that, and let's see what happens. So this is bad. We got an archer attacking, both archers attacking Egon, and that's because he's so close to the fight, and that's, you know, could be really dangerous for him down the road. Failston's stunned, not good. That Goblin took a lot of burn damage. Peter's surrounded now, which means that really he's got no choice but to use his weapons. He's opened up the field a little bit. And now Failston's surrounded. So this is going to create some problems because I'm poisoned. And thankfully the Ogre missed. So we've taken a lot of damage on this turn, and we've gotten stunned. So we can cure him with this Pray for Recovery spell. Now, all of Roy's spells, with the exception of Mass Healing, is a distance of 1. So he's going to have to get right up on this attack to take care of this. At the same time, we spent our turn curing Failston, but we did nothing for Egon, who has already lost half of his health. So we really need to get him out of the field of play here. Let's see if putting him here does any better. And by the way, now we're attacking 6 characters because of the way they've changed their orientation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is going to be a good attack. Oh, so he may get hit again. And for those situations, before the start of every level, you have a chance to go to the store. And you can always grab a potion, and that'll be under purchased. There's a minor potion of Unwounded, and the False Tooth of Unstunning, by the way. So, for example, Winston could have bit down on the False Tooth of Unstunning to unstun himself on that last turn. So there we go. Gave him a little bit of health. That should be enough to make him survive this next turn, and then we can heal him with the Roy. So let's go ahead. Oh, we haven't moved with Peter. Peter, let's do that first now. And there we go. We've done major damage to both of these characters and stun them. So that's going to be really helpful as we move forward. Somebody still has not moved. Let's do the AoE. And there, in two hits, thanks to the burn damage, in 2 hits we were able to get rid of an enemy there. So let's end our turn. Still attacking Egon. He's still too close to the fight, and now he's been frozen. There goes Ignite. You see it would have affected other scores around him. Just gonna try to stun. That time a Goblin died from burn damage, which is really cool to see. Failston's taking a lot of damage now. He's now frozen and poisoned. And so you see he took 2 different damages. He took burn damage, and then he took ice and freeze damage. So now that things have opened up a little bit, we can get him closer to the fight, to the Banshee Queen. So this is a key here. when you're trying to, but because he's frozen, this is interesting. Because he's frozen, he lost a couple squares of movement. That's this status right here, and he cannot reach the Fat Banshee. Now, if he was unfrozen, which we could do that hypothetically with a cure, he could get right up to the Banshee and change her attack. So enemies have different attacks depending on what's going on around them. And the Banshee has two different attacks. Her first attack is to scream and to stun her enemies, but her second attack is a Lich Slap, which does a knockback so that she can scream at you on her next turn. That's the idea of her doing that slap. She's afraid to scream at you when you're right up next to her. So, let's go ahead and do this. We killed the character and stunned the other two. That's really good. But Egon's down to 2 health, and he's frozen. Not good. Let's go ahead and... You know what we're going to do? We're going to walk back all the way to this square, and we're going to heal him. Hopefully this does a lot of healing points. Little note on healing, a way to think about which character do you want to heal, right? Is that it's not just the amount of points you're getting. It's also dependent on the defense. This is, again, this is a strategic and tactical thinking process, right? So Egon has 17 defense and Faelston has 27. That means the 22 points of healing for Egon is actually 30, maybe 35 points of healing for Faelston. So when you're thinking about who do I want to heal, you definitely want to heal Egon first because he needs the health more than Faelston needs the health. But Faelston is being attacked by more characters than Egon. So these are the types of strategic thinking that you constantly encounter when you're playing this game, right? Your decisions in this regard really matter. Like if you choose to heal Egon here, you could die. Faelston could die. So because Egon is frozen, he's got fewer move points. Let's go ahead and decide who we're going to fight here. I guess we can... The best move would be just to do a straight up magic missile, so let's do that. We'll go after the death. Didn't do a lot of damage, not good. He can do between 1 and 21 points. Looks like we just got unlucky there. And let's do this. Let's shoot Burning Ale at the Fat Banshee. Alright, we got her for 15 points, but didn't do Ignite. There's a 50% chance of Ignite. That's pretty decent to start whittling her down. She is going to continue to do that scream. So you see the archer has changed his attack, and both archers have changed their attack. But because that archer in the back aims for weak characters, he's now aiming for Roy. So there's only so many of those attacks that Roy can put up with. And Faelston's now really weak. Oh, he's down to 5 health. That ogre's not a threat right now. So, alright, Faelston could die. And there you go. He took 5 points of status damage and died on his turn. And that is a really great ending point for this video because what I wanted to show you here is that your decisions are important, and our decision to heal Egon may not have been the best decision. You see, he was not attacked on this turn. Moving him back caused both of these characters to change their targets because they're stationary characters who can attack up to 9 tiles away. So by moving Egon here, we already put him into a safe place. It was Faelston who needed to be healed more than Egon needed to be healed, even though Egon only had 2 points of health left. So there you go. That's going to be our stopping point, and I hope you enjoyed this video and are excited to play Dungeon Crawlers HD. Thanks a lot.